Saturday, May 18th at 7:15 p.m. at Desert Song Healing Arts Center. See the documentary Walk With Me, A Journey into Mindfulness featuring Thich Nhat Hanh, narrated by Benedict Cumberbatch. This is a joint presentation from our friends at Phoenix Film Collective and Desert Song Healing Arts Center. Its tickets are $8, and the event features a 30-minute stretching and breathing session before the film. You can get your tickets at desertsongyoga.com or phxfilmcollective.com. That's phxfilmcollective.com. I'm very proud of the fact that I got the date right this time. All right, let's get into the show. Hey there, everyone. Thanks for listening to Limited Engagement. I'm your host for the show, Jared Duran, and this is LE 109. It's a conversation with Ellis Larson, and I'll get to that whole thing in just a moment here. I hope everybody had a good record store day. Spent mine at Stinkweeds, and got everything I was looking for. I thought for just a moment there that I was going to have to make another stop to pick up the Bingo Handjob release, which is, if you're not familiar with Bingo Handjob is it's the name for a secret gig that R.E.M. did in 91. It features a ton of cool people on it, including Robin Hitchcock and Billy Bragg, and anyway, it was officially released for the first time, and I had asked if there were any left, and was told that they thought they handed out the last one, but I just went back and double checked real quick, and there was a copy, so I picked that up. Picked up a lot of other stuff too, too much stuff. Picked up the Mark Maron presents Live in the Garage or Live from the Garage or whatever it was, recordings from WTF, and that was a really cool record. I've already listened to quite a few of these actually, but it had this really cool mottled, I don't know, gold-ish color vinyl. It was really cool, and I've listened to the first side of the How Gelb, Dreaded Brown Recluse, which is a reissue of his first solo album. The first side of that's really good. And the Elvis Costello and the Imposters EP, Purse, Jeff Tweedy, Warmer, which is really, really good. The new -5 release, which is fucking fantastic. I'll talk more about that later. But I've got a bit of a story behind this episode, so I'm going to cut the rambling kind of short, or at least the non-episode related rambling, and go into the episode related rambling, because it's story time. So I get emails from time to time from people interested in being on the show, asking if I would be interested in having them on the show, which is great. I love that. It's fantastic. You can email me at ltd.engagement@gmail.com. I love getting emails about people people interested in being on the show, because that takes the worst part for me out of booking, which is contacting people, and it's a little bit of a hassle. So anyway, I enjoy getting those quite a bit. And I got this one from an L.S. Larson, talking about a project called IGIST. It's IGIST. And sent me some links and asked if I'd check it out and see if I was interested. And they had a launch going on at the Arizona Science Center on the 20th of this month, April 20th, Saturday, 4/20. from 4 to 5 p.m. There are all the details. I'm sure I'll mention them again. So I checked it out. Well, let me sit back for a sec. So I just got this email not that long ago. It was beginning of last week, which means, and as busy as I've been, it usually takes me a couple of days to respond to something. So, it was already, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday morning, I think Wednesday morning, before I finally responded to it. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, shit, this has to happen soon, because I would have to have this weekend to edit it and post it in time to be ahead of that event on the 20th. So I checked it out. I was interested. It's a cool project, which I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about up front here, because we get into the details of it in the conversation. But it's the type of project that I haven't had on the show, or had somebody talk about on the show. It's a science fiction adventure for younger readers, kind of middle grade level, I suppose. That tween, I think, is the right term for it. Not quite teen, but just below that. And it has an educational aspect to it as well, but it's also an immersive experience. So there's an app that goes along with it. There are character cards you can collect. There's a website with activities on it and all that sort of thing. So it all, that kind of platform I haven't talked to anybody about. So I was intrigued. Again, being a huge science fiction geek and all that, it spoke to me. So I was like, yeah, but this week's kind of tight. I have just, these couple of days available. And so they got back to me. And at this point, I don't know if LS is a man or a woman, it's just initials. And so, but that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. I just don't have a pronoun to use at this point. So they get back to me with there's an open house at Axon HQ. And at this point, I'm not making any connection with this, right? I'm just thinking it's the parent company for this IGIST thing, and I don't know. It seems ridiculously obvious later, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I didn't make the connection in my head at the time what Axon was. So they said they're having an open house and invited me to come by the open house, and then we could talk afterwards. I was like, oh, I'm interested in checking out what this is all about. It would give me more feel for the interview if I saw the operations, and so I'm like, okay, we'll do that. I'll go to the open house and we'll do the interview after that. Even though that put me out of my comfort zone a little bit, because I don't do, with the exception of musicians touring through, I don't usually do recordings off-site. They're all done in the office, which this is the last intro that I'll probably record in this office, because I'll be in my new place next weekend. And anyway, so end of an era, I suppose. So I go there, I drive out there, and I'm like, oh, Axon. Axon, if you're not familiar with the company name, is Taser. It used to be called Taser. They rebranded a few years ago when they got more into the wearable body cams and that sort of thing, and were diversifying from a single product into something or more along the lines of an all-encompassing sort of transparency and accountability, data collection, and this sort of non-lethal alternative to law enforcement, right? to de-escalating situations. And so I was a little on guard when I got in there, because as soon as there's a corporation involved, I'm looking for, okay, what's the angle? What, am I being played for something? I don't know. That's just part of my, I'm skeptical whether or not that's valid. I don't know. But I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? So I go in and, go to the kind of check-in area for this open house and let them know that I'm looking for LS, with the podcast and all that. And they point to this gentleman. They're like, Luke's over there. And I'm like, okay. So LS Larson is Luke Larson, who's the president of Axon. And I don't know what I thought I was getting into. I had no idea, really. But I did not think that I would be talking to the president of a company like this. And it turned out to be just a really enjoyable conversation. I sat through the open house presentation. I went on the tour. As somebody who is, personally, I'm a pacifist, but I'm definitely an anti-gun proponent. So what they do, or what their mission is, in their words, to obsolete the bullet. That certainly appeals to me. It's a mission that I can get behind. And so then I was starting to relax a little bit. And the event finishes up, and Luke and I go into this conference area to go ahead and do the interview. And it's just, Luke ends up being this guy that I feel like I could just hang out with and shoot the shit with. It's like, I'm also a big sci-fi geek, unabashedly so, as I've mentioned. And we had a really good conversation. And what he's doing, the whole impetus for this, first of all, this is a huge passion project for him. And he talks in the interview about this, but the impetus was was on a trip with his family, seeing this whole wall of presidents. It's all these old white guys, and it being sort of, how demoralizing that can be for a young girl. So he decided that he was going to take his love of writing. He talks about having written earlier on, and his love of this old series of science fiction books, and taking that and trying to do something basically anti-patriarchal, right? Something that's a science fiction adventure, something that people are going to be interested in and get excited about, but that also has a strong female protagonist, and overcoming all these obstacles in the way of them achieving their goals and dreams and everything. So it's a really cool project. It's like I mentioned, it's got all these different components to it. There's the novel, which is the central piece of everything. It's the thing around which everything revolves. And then in addition to that, there are these interactive components, including the IGIST app. There's the website that I mentioned. You can collect these cards and basically interact with there are these Easter eggs in there in the book and all that kind of thing. So it's a cool project. You should check it out. It's igist.com, IGIST. The event, as I mentioned, is at the Arizona Science Center.